Welcome to Beautifully Unfiltered, the Purple Runway podcast. The Purple Runway podcast is about breaking the silence, honoring truths, and creating honest conversations that lead healing and advocacy and empowerment. For too long, the stories of domestic violence, especially those rooted in trauma, silence, and survival, have been hidden behind closed doors, and we're here to change that. So welcome to Beautifully Unfiltered, the Purple Runway podcast, and let's walk with purpose together.
Hello everyone, Gigi McMillan here, and welcome to my very first podcast with the beautiful, beautiful friend of mine that I'm going to share with you in a minute. I hope you enjoy this episode and learn about Gabi Garland, who is here as my very first guest and dear friend. So, welcome, Gabi.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Very honored.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I want to share with everyone. Gabi and I met each other probably on social media 8, 9, 10 months ago, and when you feel someone's energy who is consistent, who is inspiring, you just kind of glean towards that person, and then maybe 3 months ago, we finally met in person for the first time. I found out she was from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I knew through her own podcast is that she is a thriving survivor, and I cannot wait to share more with you about Gabi. Gabi's going to tell you a little bit more about herself, and then we're going to get into some talks.
Oh, all right.
Share about you, Gabi.
Let's see. I was actually born I was born in Albuquerque, lived just outside of Albuquerque, and have now been on the East Coast for almost 10 years, which is wild. Mm-hmm. My background was sales, marketing, management, business development. When I moved to the East Coast, I was in network marketing, and then it all fell apart when I moved away, and so was really trying to figure out what was going to be next for me. I ended up launching Resilient Heart Podcast in August of 2020, so we're celebrating year 5.
Congratulations!
And it catapulted everything for me. Built a company, and now we launch and produce podcasts for creatives. So that's I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I have a daughter who's a police officer back home in New Mexico, and we have our son Squish, who just turned 6. Gosh, I don't even know.
He's a celebrity of his own.
Listen,
right?
I
think he outshines you sometimes.
Oh, not sometimes. Between my babies, I'm just lucky to get a little light sometimes, which I love. I love that. They're both just this magnetic personalities just in their lives, and so it's really cool to get to be the mom of babies like that.
I understand. That's so beautiful. And as you know, I'm a personal stylist, and I'm loving the color that we match that pink and green. So we're always going to bring in some personal style talk into the podcast. So today I wanted to talk to you about something that's near and dear to both of us. And I would title this Built to Rise. Because Gabi, as I said, when I met you on social media and I met you actually in person, and I feel your energy so authentically, and listening to your story on your podcast, that's what comes together for me. Mm-hmm. So my first question is, when you reflect on the phases of your life and where you are from there to here, what does Built to Rise mean to you?
Built to Rise for me, I feel like came in 3 different phases over the years. The first was the death of my abuser very suddenly in a motorcycle accident, and realizing back then there was definitely some things wrong with me as a result of that environment, and so it was kind of my first touch into figuring out my own stuff. And so that was one phase. The second one was coming here and starting a new life, going away from everything I knew, kind of putting my trust in the fact that I knew I met the right man, and I was building a life with someone that I knew was meant for me. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't come without challenges. You're two people figuring out yourselves while you're figuring out life together. And I think probably the third one was when we lost the first baby that we had right after we got pregnant. It was the soul shaking that I did not anticipate and was really tough to walk, but it also is what catapulted everything that I get to do now, because it opened me up to, one, the healing, but also the growing that needed to happen, and the accountability that I had probably avoided for way too long.
Yeah.
And so those would probably be the three kind of phases of that, and then everything that's kind of happened since is just bits and pieces of those years and the lessons and the struggles.
Mm-hmm. So those phases, which one of those phases would you say was the most challenging? Because why I'm asking that is because, as we talked right before I got on camera, and you and I have talked on the phone plenty of times, is that I'm in my fourth chamber of my own personal growth. And being in that chamber, this is what I'm doing. I've always been authentic. I've always had my voice. But at the same time, I am very private. And in order to get the message out, I've listened to you, I've listened to others, and while we're here, and my sponsors, they are so amazing. And for me, although the other three chambers were, very challenging, of course, as a sister, you understand that. But this one that I'm living right now in real time is the most challenging for me. So which one would you say is the most challenging for you? Was for you?
The one right now.
Really?
Yeah. And it's not because it's a healing season for me. I'm getting to watch everything that I've worked on building literally happen, real time. And so there's noticing little pieces of myself that has to talk myself through, no, you deserve this. You have worked your butt off. You have spent so much money and so much time learning your craft and figuring stuff out. And we've known all the things, and now we have the growth that is at a level that I know is not of my hand. I know that. And so I had lunch with our girlfriend Tiffany just last week, and I'm like, I just started crying because I was like, the little girl in the small town in Moriarty, New Mexico, who was held back in 5th grade, who was quit high school, quit college, quit everything, is literally building something that I'm so damn proud of, and it's working, and that's wild but amazing. And so this one's the hardest because I'm part of you. I think when you're working on something and you're feeling you're like not seeing it, and then when it happens, you kind of just have to sit and go, do I really deserve this? Is this really where I'm supposed to be? Yeah. I'm unqualified, I'm this and that, and so I'm walking those.
And why do you think we go through that? Because you hit the nail on the head. It's like, it's not like those other chambers weren't hard. Yeah. There's a grit and there's a determination that, through it all. And then when you start seeing and everything's forming and coming together, you're like, oh man, I thought I was prepared for this.
Right.
I
think because I spent so many years in survival in some capacity or form or fashion,
True.
that the step into thriving and being able to stand on my own 2 feet and to have an incredible team, like to be really like disgustingly in love with my husband, like it would probably gross people out, like so in love.
Yes.
And as someone who is a survivor, there's points where you don't think no one's ever gonna love me. I'm too broken, I'm too messy, I'm too fill in the blank, and I walked into my relationship with those feelings that resonated in so many ways, and now because I've done so much work and I've had such a beautiful partner to walk with me on it, I'm getting to live in the dream a little bit more right now. And that's
they are the
wild,
true champions. Our husbands are the true champions.
Every day I think,
like
every day I think
if I think of who I was to who we've become, man, oh man, they're not human.
No.
I don't know all of your story, but I know they're unhuman.
No, and I think for someone that's listening that's maybe newer out of something not healthy,
That's right.
there's a belief that we build that no one will ever love us because of what we've gone through. And I can tell you, we're celebrating year 11 from our anniversary in a couple of days. And when you find a safe space to heal within, with somebody who loves you, it changes everything. And I think that is worth waiting for. And sometimes we have this timetable where it's supposed to be, have kids and a white picket fence and a husband by XYZ date. Like, surrender to the idea that as long as I become who I know I'm meant to be and I do the work I need to do, that we're going to walk in the spaces we're meant to walk in, and that who we are will go before us and create opportunities that we can't create for ourselves. But we're never going to get to do that if we don't do the work, because at every turn we've got to figure out what comes next. And if we're too scared to move because we're too broken, then why? That's right. Then we miss it. Yeah.
So that's a very good point about being too broken, because a lot of times we can feel like that in our own heads. But one thing I would like to say is, before you try to find that other person, you're never going to be, completely, no one is trauma free. No. But to do some work, because we have to do some deep soul searching and find great people to help pour into that, and we pour into one another. And then when we look for those significant others, we have a clearer picture of what our expectations are and where we draw the line. And it's still going to be a rocky road according to my journey, and quite a few others that I understand. But the thing is that you go in there with a lot of understanding about yourself. The road becomes smoother a lot more quicker.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So I have another question for you. What daily spiritual practices that help you stay grounded? I know you're always busy and you're always helping people. I mean, I'm not just talking about what you do. You help people in who you are. Girl, we've had some conversations. And when I get to a certain point, it seems so weird, because you are an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur, we're both survivors, we're both from New Mexico. Those create connectivity.
Yeah.
And so over the past few months, it's like certain things that I can talk to this group of friends about, or certain things I can talk to this group of friends about, you kind of meet in that scene. So what do you do? Because you're there for a lot of people. How do you balance that to make sure that you're filling your cup before you fill everyone else's cup, spiritually?
I'm still working on that a little bit, but in the morning, so a couple things I do before I go to bed. I typically write all of my own content for social media, because while you'll probably never know if it's not me, because my team is good enough to have figured me out by now that they write in my voice, but everything is posted auto for the next day. There's no waking up in the morning and going, what do I post? What do I talk about? Who am I gonna, what business things am I going to post today? So everything's done before I go to bed, and then I log out of all social media. Do a little bit of time in journaling, take a shower, kind of decompress, kind of wash the day off, spend time with my husband, and then when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do, I pick up my phone, but I don't check notifications. Everything's logged out, and I just spend a few moments in gratitude. Sometimes it's physical, writing the things I'm grateful for. Sometimes I'm just laying in the bed, and I just take a moment and close my eyes and just sit in gratitude for whatever it is. And it's 9 times out of 10, it really isn't anything financial. It's, I'm happy my babies are healthy. I'm happy my husband is healthy. I'm happy, our family is doing well. I'm happy we're happy. And I think the world and outer environments can change and shift the way that we feel. And so we have to be very, very intentional about the way we start our day. Because if we don't start our day in gratitude and happiness and joy in this way, that we are deciding how the day is going to begin, and we immediately log into Facebook and start scrolling, and then you see something sad, and then
your whole day is ruined.
And I'm like, I need to figure out what I need, and
then I can
let the world be what the world is.
That's right.
So that's my morning practice every morning without fail.
That's for me, that's day to day, because I totally feel what you, when you start going onto social media, it's like I've had, you work in social media, pretty much podcasting and doing all that for your clients. So for me, waking up, and if I wake up in the morning, some days, preferably on Fridays, but if I wake up in the morning, I cannot go on social media. I cannot. It for some reason, how anxiety, it's not anxiety in a way that, oh my God, it's making me depressed. It's anxiety. It's too much information at one point.
Right.
And I know that I have an informational boundary.
Right.
And that informational boundary is I'll check my text messages after I do all of the things for me in the morning.
Right.
But at the same time, social media is like overwhelming. But again, it's bringing it back to the first point that we were talking about. This is another chamber for me. Because now I'm sitting here doing this.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's another chamber. So I'm working to overcome that anxiety. But definitely spending time with myself every day, because I truly believe I have to fill my cup up in order to fill other people's cup up. And you know what? It could get down to, 3/4 and I'm still helping.
Yeah.
But I can never allow it to get to empty, because there are certain characteristics that I've learned over my healing journey that I will never master, but I have not been able to shape in such a way, because I think, remember one time we were talking and you said, I think people like us, we have that kind of edge on us.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a kind of edge on us because it's not protection and do you agree with this? Because we didn't talk about it. It's not protection in such a way that we're standoffish.
Right.
It is something that is just automatic because of what we've gone through. Do you agree with that?
Yes and no, and it depends on the environment for me, because I go and move within the world anticipating the best intentions of others, because I always have the best intentions. And then you quickly learn the world doesn't really work like that. And
Nice.
Then you start discerning what people, what environments, what spaces you belong or don't belong, or that you would like to be included in, and ones that you're like, no, I think I'm
good.
I'm gonna sit this one out. And I think that part's essential, because especially as a survivor, there is a people-pleasing element that makes us feel like we've got to hustle for our worthiness. And
Right.
we have to do to be accepted, or we have to pour out to be included.
Mm-hmm.
And when you heal that side of yourself, and then you're intentional about where you pour and what you do, man, it's much more peaceful.
It's much more peaceful. And the thing is going back again, it's getting to know ourselves to be able to determine what does that look like. And you don't need to, it's not walking away with, bad intentions or whatever. You just know what you know. My body will respond.
Right.
Before my mind responds or whatever, my body will respond. And then I'll take that into account and understand how to, but I've met so many people on my journey over the past year that has been amazing, absolutely amazing individuals. And I just want more and more and more. And then I have to say, you're tired, you gotta go home and do some work, real work, not just meeting people and loving on them and kissing on them. So I have one more question for you.
Okay.
Well, I actually have two more questions for you. For someone who is on the edge of rebuilding, and they're unsure about how they can rise, how would you have them begin? What would you offer them and tell them what to do to begin
I
to
would say
rise?
the very first thing you need to do is what I call circle inventory. And it's really where you sit down and you make a list of the people that have proximity to you. Who are the first 5 people in your phone?
Mm-hmm.
Who are the people that the last 5 people you talk to? And really, and this isn't a judgment on anybody. We all got our stuff. Nobody's perfect, but really sit down and ask yourself some questions about those relationships, those people. Are they building the way you're trying to build? Are they ahead of you and you get to learn from them? Are they next to you and you can walk together?
Mm-hmm.
Are they behind you and maybe you're a little bit more of a mentor to them than they are to you? But also be really mindful of how you feel with those people, because if you're trying to rebuild your life, you won't get there if all you hang out with is all the people that have always known you. And that's a hard thing for all of us, I think, because myself included, when I first started my company, I kept wanting to hire my friends and be, bring it, let's all rise together. And not that I don't think there's anything
wrong with
there's
that.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But sometimes what God's asked of you is bigger than
Stretch.
is to stretch you. And sometimes the stretching means shedding.
Mm-hmm.
And that part I feel like,
and it's always uncomfortable.
Always. And it doesn't matter if you do 3 shedding seasons in a 12-month period, or if it's just one every 5 years. People will fall away as you grow and as you change and you evolve, and you have to learn that that's part of it. And
appreciate what they brought to you while they were there.
Right.
Now that is the gratitude part that I think if we all learn, we all learn together, that we understand there's a season for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
No, I do. I think I'm never one that when a season of a friendship ends, I always look at my part, and I think when you're walking out of any type of situation that's unhealthy, sometimes because the other person was more unhealthy, we forget that we got our own stuff. Yeah. And so really being a woman that can sit and look at yourself in the mirror and go, oh yeah, you definitely got some work to do there. Because we are a lot of people, we don't do that. We don't check for ourselves. We can live in victim mode, myself included. I did for
so long.
So many years, which I don't know one survivor that hasn't had a season of that where everybody is to blame for everything that goes wrong, until you look in the mirror and you go, who was the only person at the scene of the crime, lady? Like, I'm gonna need you to look in the mirror.
Who's at the scene of the crime? I love that. That is very true.
So that's what I would say, is be really intentional about your circle. Be really honest with yourself, because you can't build or grow or change or evolve if you're not honest with yourself about who you are and the good stuff. It's not just looking at shadow. It's like really identifying and standing in with your whole chest out who you are and what you're about and what your magic is and what gifts God has given you, and whatever way you're meant to move in the world. You have those too. It's not just the stuff that kind of sucks.
That's right.
So
that's right.
Yeah.
You guys see why Gabi's here? I had to bring you this masterpiece. So the final question for you today is, as you all know, I am a personal stylist as well. I am a thriving, conquering survivor. And I don't want you guys to just walk away from this podcast or this series just listening and taking a few nuggets away. Hopefully you're taking notes. But at the same time, I want you to take away something that you can feel, that Gabi and all of my guests, what we're going to do is she's going to name a song that resonates with her for this episode and what we titled this episode. And she hasn't shared it with me.
Nope. So
what does it mean? What song fits you for this episode and Built to Rise?
It's actually 2, because for a couple of reasons. And I think one, it's because there's still some shadow there, so there's a little bit of gangster Gabby. This kind of
I think that's never going to go away with me. I've already conceded.
I am very much love and light, but I am also fuck around and find out. I'm not like. I used to fight for fun. This is not the girl you want to play in her face.
It's not a game.
So 2 songs. The first one is because in some of the darker seasons we kind of touched on, I really lost a lot of my faith, and a big portion of that shift was a couple of times. One was when my daughter's father was killed, and I was a very young single mom, kind of thrust into that. It ended up being the best gift of our lives because it gave us freedom, but it was also very scary to realize I had 0 people that could help me take care of her in any way. And so I went to the church and I asked a priest, sat down with him, and he's like, when did your husband pass? And I was like, he wasn't my husband. And he literally looked at me and said, your baby is an abomination, and I don't really know what to say to you.
What?
So I'm going to ask you to leave. And I was like, and this is like my home church that I'd spent all these years in. I'm like, I've had funerals there. I've had family members get married there. And so that was this huge shift where I kind of lost portions of my faith and was trying to figure out what was the difference between my faith and my beliefs. And then church, what was that like structure, the people in there, and kind of unpacking like the church hurt side of things. And then the second part, so that was the song by Francesca Battistelli, He Knows My Name. Because as I was trying to figure out who I was, who I wanted to become, who I didn't want to be anymore, who I was at different points really ashamed that I had been, it was the song that would pull me back out to be like, maybe nobody knows who I am, maybe this will never work, maybe my message won't matter, but I had to know that he would know my name.
Right.
And if I kept that as the anchor of the way that I moved in the world, I was going to elevate what he wanted me to elevate, even if it didn't make sense to me. Even if I couldn't figure out, why are you having me do this? Like, I don't even know any of this stuff. Like,
Right.
why is this the path? And so the he knows my name is the mindfulness of being a conduit, instead of thinking it's about ego or attitude or whatever. It's making sure, for me, that others see God in me, in the way that I treat people, in the way that I move in the world, in the way that I love. And the other side of it is Eminem.
Side B.
Side B.
Side B.
Flip the cassette tape for those of y'all that don't know what those are.
After 6 p.m.
is Eminem, Lose Yourself.
Nice.
Because that very last rap battle, and I've said this a million times, when he literally stood there and told that guy, yeah, I grew up in a trailer park with my mom. Well, I could do the whole rap, but I'm not gonna.
We could start bouncing together.
Listen, put some beats on. I got you. It was him standing in a stage in front of so many people, owning whatever it was, and it was this moment that clicked for me, that if I can figure out how to just own it, then no one can use it as a weapon against me ever again. And so that is always like, Baby Squish and I were jamming out to some Eminem the other day. Like, it's just that piece of, I'm owning it, so you can't hurt me with it anymore, because so much of what I've been through, so much of those seasons that are shameful and embarrassing and struggle and eviction and so many financial ruin. I mean, just the shit soup of life. It didn't matter, because I'm owning it, and you can't use that.
You can't use it against me.
And I'm using it to rise.
Exactly. You can't use it against me.
No.
And although this is the last question, again, this is why you sit with your friends, because you learn more about them when you don't even know. When you talked about the church and the church hurt, I went through that too. That's why I'm like, what? I got literally kicked out the church in an email. That's a whole nother story. But it's something that it doesn't make me, my father is my father, and I understand that it helped me build my own relationship and with him. But if I had to put, if I had to put a title on this episode for me, it would be, I think it's Martin Sapp. I got a seed in the ground. And what we're going to do is we're going to put those links in the podcast, so people not only see you, and they're going to be able to feel you.
No, I love that. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Yeah. Well, this concludes my very, very first episode with a very special person, and I thank you guys for being here, and I hope you join us on the next one with Beautifully Unfiltered with Gigi. Thank you.
This podcast is an extension of Purple Runway, where we honor survivors, celebrate their courage, and amplify the voices that are often go unheard. Whether you're a survivor, a supporter, an advocate, or someone still finding their way, you're not alone, and this space is for you.
Thank you for listening. The Beautifully Unfiltered podcast is brought to you by...
One of the things that keeps great leaders up at night is how to take a solid team and make them better. Well, we can help you figure all that out. Learn as a team, grow as a team, and have fun doing it. At Blue Stallion Solutions, we meet you where you're at and we take you where you want to go. Blue Stallion Solutions isn't just a company, it's a movement. Ride with us today.